Here, and for this session, we are reviewing a Plat Diva. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that helps out quite a bit, and I really do appreciate it. Or if you're looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what rates look like, see what sort of promos, special events we have going on, all of that good stuff. See how our Diva's gonna do here. I understand they're mostly not a Diva player, so this may be a little fresh new, but we're going to see. What voice line are you going to spam now? It's a good question. It's a good question.
5, 4.
I love Diva. I am an e-girl. Okay, okay.
Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Sure. Reasonable peel. Hijack this review with life advice. Oh, you're going to drive him particularly nutty. Okay, so we go through here. We're doing this. Did you open with... No, you did not open with any sort of spawn micro missiles.
3, 2.
Which would have been fine. It would have been safe enough to be like, hey, spend micro missiles, get a few in here. They'll ultimately shield them. They'll start walking closer. You'll cancel early by running. That would have been fine. This works. This is okay. You'd pre-position. Oh, that's less okay. You fell. You barely use micros as the game goes on. I get better. Okay. So here you are, you're putting out some damage. If Sigma's controlling this side, you can do some help here, but what you generally do is you'd be thinking about, when you're playing double off tank, you can sort of think of this U-turn stuff, like do you have something to pivot around? Whereas he gets pushed, you push in. As you get pushed, he pushes in. That's sort of how you think when you're playing double off tank with a structure like this that you can use. It's particularly abusive on Lijiang Tower. In fact, the meta on Lijiang Tower for quite a while was Diva Roadhog, even at the professional level, because you can abuse some of these things like this. Control center is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so you go deal with this. You going back to peel, totally appropriate. Work your way back up, though. Yeah, unfortunate. We take this. Sure. So you do need to make him lead. Like, you're doing this, and I agree, I would totally like to finish him off, to do whatever. You don't have boosters. You have to make a decision. Are you going to let him push you back, and you're going to drop, and you're going to enforce the corner, which is reasonable? Or are you going to say, no, I need to be up here, where I can shoot down on these guys, where I can DM over them, and in order to get that situation as Diva, I'm going to have to spend my micro missiles on him right now to make him leave. And that's probably what I'd recommend you elect to do right here. Unfortunate. Okay. You can't just let him shoot you like this. I know you're trying to get behind the box, but you had to drop. If you weren't going to use your micro missiles to make him leave, which isn't perfect because he can line of sight them behind the door and then come back out, you needed to drop. I am playing it like a Ryan Zarya where I need to enforce front line, even though it's not. Yeah. I get the feeling Adam got better information than Sheldon. On what? On Diva? Well, they're playing Diva differently. I mean, there are different games being played differently. We gave Sheldon some good information. But it's not like you can just give the same information to both of them. They're playing differently in different games. They have different strengths and weaknesses. Okay. You're choosing to try to keep the supports out, which isn't actually amazing. So you go here. Shooting the Rhine in the back is good. Okay. No. You don't stop your boosters here. If you're going to do this and boost them back, so be it. You have plenty of booster time left. You have 3/4 of your booster left, and you've already hit your boost. keep going, turn up, and finish up here, and now you're back to being annoying to these guys or annoying to this guy, etc. I don't know why you're canceling your boosters here. That's a terrible place to cancel your boosters. If you have booster left, you finish on high ground. Hey, Bunny! This Reinhardt's getting to be a threat to you instead of you having gone to be a threat to this Reinhardt, which is what would have happened if you were up here. What are you DMing? Huh. We've talked about the techniques for eating things on Anna and how her weapon moves. That's okay. We'll see if it becomes a bigger problem. Most of the time, I'm just good with a beer, YS, to be perfectly honest. I'm not going to say, you know, finer alcohol isn't better sometimes, but I'm going to be honest, most of the time, just a beer is fine.
Objective lost. New defense. Objective B.
Here it comes.
Hello.
Like, there we go. We're going to push up here.
Hello. Let them out. Passing out the welcome mat.
I need healing.
Energy level.
Okay, react to it. Good. Slow on the DM.
I'm on fire. Nay.
If Adam's fan voice line says diva, maybe he'd be a diamond diva. I don't think that's the secret. Okay. You know I want you to finish on high ground here. This is fine, and if you need to drop here to do that, that's fine. And then you can even boop out through here, but you're going to want to finish up here or up here. And you absolutely have the ability to do it even while avoiding most of this Zarya damage. You do. See, you still got a third of it left. You still got a quarter of it left. You easily could have finished up over here. Easily. Ambitious Blossom. Very ambitious. It's true. You think that's going to work, Val? I recognize you trying to egg me on. The thing is, I was already doing a semi-serious review here, so I don't really think that was necessary, Val. So, here you are. It was Anton, but then, you know, we did another one. Pushing that. That's the Zarya. We're not really tracking that the Zarya has this. I don't particularly mind that. Like, you do need to be tracking. It's the basically first thing you learn to track as Diva is the Zarya's ult, but the Reaper is a high priority to deal with. And you just late. Okay. High ground. Okay. You can micro him. Fine. Good thing he doesn't know you're as weak as he is. Okay. Okay.
I need healing.
Val just complaining her 4 highly legit Diva questions got skipped over. Did she have high-level Diva questions in the previous VOD that we did on Diva that I didn't answer? If so, post them again. I'm happy to answer them, Val. This is funny. Okay. It was a funny game of Ring Around the Rosie you two had there. If you have questions, Val, I didn't mean to skip them. Please do post them. I probably just didn't see them.
Get through this. Fire.
Okay, this is fine. You're going to boost right through them to knock them down? No, you're going to let it be. Okay. Leave. You're now discorded and missing too much health. You can't hold this anymore. Nope. Nope. Good to wave hi to that soldier. There we go. What are you DMing? We DMing just generic Genji shurikens? Okay. If that was the case, that should have been a much shorter DM hold there. I'll post it between rounds so we don't mess up pacing the review. Okay. Sure, Reaper, good choice. Okay. Mech it. I know what you're doing, but mech it. I promise. Mech it. Okay, fine. Still fine. He can't fight you. Leave, leave, leave. Punish, punish. You got it.
Maximum power.
Perfect. That's less perfect. So, I like that you went into a high ground here, but there's a balance to be had here. You want to be here in the sense that you want to create an obstacle that they have to remove before they can take what we're going to call the correct pathing to challenge this point. So they have to go through an extra step of removing you before they can properly position to take over the point. That's good. We like that. What we don't like is, aha, I did this. Micro Missiles gives you okay poke, but you're still not a Hanzo. You're not a Hanzo. You're not an Ashe. You're not even a McCree. You're not even a soldier with Helix Rocket. You're not a Zen with orbs charged up. You're not a Roadhog. You're not a, I don't know if we covered Widow already. Like, your poke is kind of meh, even with micro missiles. It's something, but it's kind of meh. So here you are, and you're doing this, and if you're up here and you're choosing to, I'm going to open the angle and I'm going to shoot at them because I think they're weak. I think they just backed up and they're weak and their health is low and I'm going to be able to finish someone off. That's fine. But if you're just going, I'm shooting at these guys because I have respectable poke with micro missiles right now, no, you don't. You have respectable poke with micro missiles, but not so respectable that you get to 4v1, 5v1, etc. That you get to go, I'm going to poke into this. They're going to trade health unevenly with you. They're going to do better than you do. You're going to end up using DM. You might be thinking, oh, it's to get me self-destruct before the next engage. You'll have it next engage. I'm not remotely worried about it. You want a micro missile as like a contribution to the poke when your team can and is poking the other team here. You are not so powerful with your poke that you can be like, I'm a Hanzo. I'm right here. I'm going to poke. Excuse me. I'm a Hanzo. I'm right here. I'm going to poke 1v4 real quick or something like that, or I'm right here and I'm going to, Ashe, I'm going to open this angle and try to get a quick pick off, and if I don't like it, I'll use my coach weapon and hop out. You have the ability to go, I'm going to micro missile, and if I don't like it, I'll boost her out, but she actually has a reasonable chance of getting an elimination on a target from a fresh angle. You don't. She can justify that fishing into a 1v4, 1v5 if it really is a fresh angle and they don't know she's there. You really can't. You have to do your poke work when the other team is vulnerable and being challenged by your team. And I like this, and I like that you've gone up here and you are correct, and you've done this on a few of their rotations of going, I want to pressure them as they're rotating, but if your team isn't supporting it remotely and there's more than even one of them, it's not really worth it, unfortunately. Like, yes, we like pressuring them. Yes, we like wearing them down, but they're doing enough damage back. They're putting enough pressure back on you that it's not really worth it. And you're actually better closing the angle like this, unless you can get teams to contribute. If you had other teammates up here, if you had someone over here, if you had your team that was set up here, by the way, guys, this is like the correct place to play. If your team hard wins a fight as defense, you set up here on most comps and you defend with your team up here and you apply pressure and it's great. But your team needs to do that so you can have multiple pokers challenging or challenging from other angles or challenging from other angles. This should be, I'm using this door frame and they're peeking this door frame, not them being over here where this mini is. Having multiple angles, like then you can be like, yes, I'm going to challenge. But we don't really want the 1v4 unless we think there's something weak to finish off from them having retreated here. I think it's like a stay away poke, but like, you don't need, no. Yeah, so like, do you think you did more with your micro missiles there, or do you think they did more to you? You've already been healed and you're still missing 150 HP. You've probably lost 250 HP here. You didn't do that much with your damage, and you've wasted half your DM, and we're spending some Sigma Shield. And are we getting any damage pressure from over here? No. You're just causing your team to have to catch up on you rather than do something else, which isn't amazing. Guess I wasn't thinking because it was garbage time. I mean, it's not quite garbage time yet, but yeah. But I get what you mean by garbage time, yes. Okay. Fine. Are you going to boost through and then leave, or are you just going to leave? You need to just leave. You turn it for a self-destruct? No.
I need healing.
Okay. You're going to micro and finish him.
Time to raise my APM.
Probably just boop him, mess him up. Okay. Okay. Coordinated, sure. Google says Genji's name is I am confused with the well ball. Inspirational stuff. Okay. Glad we had some Google Translate to help us out there.
60 seconds.
Nah. You hit the TNT, and that would be a good follow-up if there wasn't also the Mercy here. You're not going to be able to take this.
60 seconds.
Yeah.
Shoot down.
Yeah. So conceptually good to go, hey, I think I can finish someone off. I'm going to dive in. I have shift. I have micro missiles. That's good. But she was being pocketed hard. Her team wasn't far away. There's just not quite enough other things going on. But all good. Doesn't have Blossom. But he does have Grab. Yeah. That's unfortunate. And that's kind of off the back of your feed. And again, it wasn't a total feed. Like, what you were going for was almost reasonable, but not quite.
Boosters engaged. 안녕. Routing power forward.
Sure.
Ejecting.
10 seconds.
Setting out the welcome mat.
I'm back in the game.
You agreed, you got hot. I hear ya.
Bailing
I think the real feat is playing D.Va into these comps, especially on offense. Well, you're on defense right now, so we'll have to see what the offense is. Because I'm looking at their comp, and I'm like, you're playing D.Va into Reaper, Monkey, Anna? No, I'm not seeing serious problems with what you're playing it into it right now. Okay, so far we've seen some things. We could talk about Reinhardt impersonation, but we've seen not finishing on high ground with boosters, and we've definitely, covered this in D.Va reviews, not your D.Va reviews, but I know you've seen some of them. If you have booster left, you generally do want to finish on the high ground there. That's going to help you out. Canceling boosters early is a good trick. It starts your cooldown early, it gets you your boosters back faster, but a good use of boosters is taking high ground. So if you can go, hey, I used my boosters for something else, to get out, to knock someone back, whatever, and I'm able to finish on high ground, it's worth spending the rest of your boosters to do that. That's the first thing we're on so far. The second thing that we're going to talk about is sort of your poke timing, your poke, your value. You were, like you mentioned, light on micro missile use for sort of first point, got better on second point. But even so, even with micro missiles, your poke isn't like terribly good. It's like you have average poke, and you only have access to average poke when you have micro missiles. You're not a pickoff character that peeks to get pickoffs with poke, even on surprise angles. Your version of getting pickoffs is dropping in on an enemy behind them, micro missiling, and taking out a Zen as it walks by. Following up like you tried to on an Ash hitting TNT, a Pharah hitting a rocket, something like that, and going, hey, I'm going to go remove this character. You see that Anna wasted nade, so you're going to go try to finish her, that sort of thing. That one wasn't quite a big enough opening because she had a Mercy who absolutely wasn't going to be paying attention to anything else. And then their Winston showed up, didn't work out well, but that's, her version of pickoff. So she does not get to just greedily peek stuff. You are correct. If you maybe are remembering from higher level games when you're playing near masters on your support, that this is the good place the defense should be holding here if they cleanly win a fight and have time to get up here. This is where they should be playing. But if you're alone up here, you need to not give them sightlines on you. You can open DM to scout for half a second or a quarter of a second to see where they are, whatever, do a ticket DM, scout. You can hide back here, whatever. You can try to do a, hey, let me try and boop them down type thing. You can do a, they come up the elevator, let me boop them out type thing. Those are potentially valid plays depending on what CC they have. But you can't be like, I'm going to take a poke war against multiple of them when they're advancing, or even 4 of them when they're retreating. That's not going to work. We talked about poke, we talked about that, and then lastly we really should be tracking that Zarya a little more closely, thinking about her a little more, thinking about, okay, I need to play a little more differently. I need to sort of stay out of it a little more while she has grabs, so that they can't solve me, so that they can't get rid of me, so that they can't force DM out of me, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, questions. Question 1. Is it okay to micro-missile shields to break it faster? In the poke phase, yes. If you are confident that you're in the poke phase and there's not going to be an opportunity to dive someone and potentially eliminate them, the assassination type play that we've talked about with D.Va, if you're confident you're not going to have a good dive that you can upgrade, then yes, it is okay to, in the poke phase, micro-missile to break shield faster. What is the correct way for D.Va to DM the other team's high noon? Okay. So you have a decision to make. Does your team have reasonable position and there's some separation between the teams? Well, in that case, you would DM. You would go, hey, I'm not worried about the high noon. Generally, depends on the health of your team for the first half second, the first second. Then I'm going to start DMing as we sort of get to cover. I'm going to continue to DM to cover my team. And then we're going to close the angle. And then either once I'm out of DM or once everyone's behind cover, I'm going to let go of DM. Or if you're closer, if your team is in bad positioning or you're just closer to a brawl, the McCree sort of surprising you on an off angle, etc., you're going to have to dive the McCree, and you're generally going to dive him for the first moment without DM up. Because again, unless your squishies are weak, which they might be, that's sort of a game sense of are your squishies weak or not at the moment, you're going to go, I'm going to dive him. I'm potentially going to not DM for the first half second. If your squishies are weak, you might have to DM for that first half second, though, and it can be worth it. That's going to be a judgment call based on the situation. And then you're going to, after about half a second, you're going to go, okay, now I'm potentially going to DM you type thing. And it's still not going to hold. You're going to be micromissiling him basically in his face. You're going to be DMing him. It's still not going to hold. You're going to run out of DM long before he has to pull the trigger on his high noon. Your team should have put some pressure on him for the high noon there, so that hopefully he felt damage pressure, felt the need to pull it early. Or you ended up in a situation where your team fully got out of there and you go, oh, yep, that was cool, we're done, and now I'm going to drop type thing. And now your high noon doesn't work on me because just as I'm running out of high noon, I drop and you go, wait a second, I don't like that type thing. So, like, it gets complicated because there's multiple answers depending on the situation. It can be a very defensive, I DM, I protect as best as I can, I go like that type thing. It can be a, oh, you're trying to DM behind us, let me dive you type thing, and go, I'm going to do this, I'm going to stall for half a second, maybe 3/4 of a second if I think my team is healthy. Then I'm going to DM you type thing to sort of maximize the time. Even if you do take me out, my body, my destroyed mech is in the way and you can't shoot your bullets through the mech. It is a physical object, etc. So that's got some value. Like there's some things that you can get into there as long as you're properly blocking his sight lines and all that. But don't be afraid if you think you've bought plenty of time to go, oh, yep, did this and I drop, and now it doesn't do anything type thing. Question 3, how does D.Va fight non-ulting Pharah? Okay, that's actually a good question. So what you do is there's a couple things. It depends what your team wants to do. Let's say that you're running a brawl team. So your team is like stacked in here, and the enemy team is trying to cap this point. And they've put like a ball over here on point, and they have a Pharah, I don't know, hammering from this angle, and a soldier fighting from this angle, whatever. Your team is going to explosively run out potentially to try to go run someone over who got too aggressive, like the ball, like whatever. They're going to go do that. And while they're trying to do that, you are going to go, I need to solve this off angle. So I am going to booster at the Pharah. Once I start to get close to her, I can absorb some hits on my mech if I have to. Once I start to get close to her, then I can potentially, go, okay, now I'm going to block her out. Maybe I've mixed some DM in, etc. Maybe I just use the DM once I'm close to her. Then once I get to the top, I let go of the DM. Again, have my body blocking on the way in. I can DM early so that I sort of cover, then DM less as I get close, then do damage, and then once I fall again, if I have any DM left, block it out. But the point is, I'm trying to block her out, not just for the DM duration. I'm trying to get another second or another second and a half, 2 seconds out of it between spending my mech's health, being in her face, and having the DM while my team eliminates this, forces this to leave, and gets to new cover. That would be the first thing. So the first way to deal with Pharah is my team understands that they need to fight explosively against a poke team, and I'm going to just zone the Pharah. I'm not going to let her have value for basically 4 seconds. And my team's basically got 5 seconds then to get done whatever they're going to get done and get back into cover. That would be one way. You go, I can't fight Pharah full time. And even if it's not quite as organized as what you're doing here, the D.Va recognizes that she can't fight Pharah or Pharmacy full time. So she's going to go, I'll wait for the moment, and then when the play begins, whatever it is, whether it's the other team pushing in hard, whether it's your team pushing into the other team, that's when she'll go do her work. And that's fine. There's also some tricks she can abuse to that. She can go up, try to punish the other Pharah, and she can try to land when her boosters are over, when she ends her boosters, on remotely higher ground. And if she's fighting a Pharah, not a Pharmacy, that's going to be really annoying to the Pharah, because even being a little bit closer increases D.Va's damage against Pharah, who has a pretty large hitbox, pretty meaningfully. So it does some pretty good extra damage to her. It makes the Pharah really uncomfortable, who expected she was going to be taking a little less damage than that. So that's sort of what you look at there. And I'm going to be honest, that's the way I like dealing with Pharaohs. I like sort of recognizing that it's an explosive fight. Like, even if the Pharah's pre-pummeling your team, you don't really care. You're sort of going, yeah, whatever, I don't care. Maybe I'll eat the occasional rocket with DM, whatever. And then when we go for it, when it gets explosive, either because you're attacking us or we're attacking us, I'll deal with the Pharah who's trying to threaten another angle. But the other option is you go, hey, you play a little more with your team. You don't explode out to deal with the different angle there. You play a little more with your team, and you do okay, my team's playing from here. or my team's playing split, whatever, and with the group I'm with, I'm going to go, I'll eat every second or third fair rocket. One fair rocket, even if mercy boosted, isn't going to eliminate players on my team, so I'm going to eat every second or third fair rocket. And it's going to be less effective. You're not going to be like the almost full-time blockage that you get for 4 to 5 seconds in the other method, but that allows your team, if your team is a poke team, for example, to have a little bit more time to go, hey, you're probably not going to eliminate us. We can probably out heal this. We can probably adjust if someone takes damage. They can move. They can dodge this second. They can dodge the third rocket. You've got time to heal between. So you're eating every second rocket or every third rocket to just make sure that 2 directs don't happen in a row. That's really what you're looking for there. And then it's a less effective block, but instead of blocking for like 4 seconds on a good day, you're mostly blocking for like 6 to 8 seconds. And that gives a poke team a little more time to do work. Now it's probably a poke v poke situation, not necessarily, but probably, because your team, if they want to have a poke situation, should have strong poke, and the other team has at least a fair, so they've at least got some poke aspect to their comp. Okay. Question 4. Is it okay for D.Va to dive their supports if they're undefended? You can't just expect her to 1v1 them. You can't just expect D.Va to dive like a Anna that she sees in the open and go, aha, I'm going to dive you. If that Anna is fully healthy and sees you coming, she can defend herself. Same thing with a Zed. If you can get the jump on them, like, let's say Zen rotates through here, Mercy is up here with her Pharah, the team is in front of Zen, and D.Va is just quietly sitting right here, and then drops behind the Zen and blows the Zen up from behind, absolutely you'll crush Zen. But if you try to like boost her at Zen from here, Zen is going to pre-discord you, start fighting you, start playing around the corner, and he absolutely has an even fight with you. There's no reason to believe you're going to win that unless there was something like Ash TNT'd or Ash got a shot, or you saw that Zen got pushed away by a tracer, or whatever the case may be. Or maybe you saw Anna used her nade to self-heal, whatever, and then you're like, okay, cool. Now I'm going to dive her. Maybe if you saw she used her nade. Probably you want her to have taken more than that. You saw she used her nade, you did a little damage to her, and you saw that she was still like half health because someone else hit her again, and then you dive her type thing. Or that Zen is on fire and his Mercy's over there, and you dive it type thing. Like, that's more what you're looking at for diving someone if they're undefended. But D.Va can absolutely take out undefended players. D.Va will also frequently challenge solo McCrees, solo Ashes, solo Hanjos, solo soldiers like that. But she's not necessarily expecting to win that. Just like she's not necessarily expecting to win if she just straight dives a Zen that sees her coming. And there's things you can do to get closer so that they see you coming less. But that can be like more of a 50-50, maybe a slightly against her odds, similar to what this would be. And she can go, oh, I'm not winning. Let me drop, get healed back up again, go back up 3-4 seconds later, try it again. And that's still useful because you've got maybe a slightly worse than 50% odds of winning. And if you win, they either leave or get eliminated. If you're losing, most of the time you should be able to get out okay. And even if you're not winning, you're at least blocking out that soldier from just mowing down your team on the high ground for 3-4 seconds, even if you then let him have 3 or 4 seconds on. You're decreasing his uptime in this powerful position that just has to be solved by almost 50%, or sometimes by more than 50%, and that's important. Hope that makes sense. Adam says, I think I play D.Va like Roadhog that can take high ground. Okay. I hope those made sense, Val. If you have more questions or you have a follow-up, just let me know. Temporal with the Near Masters game just to make things sting and hurt more. Good advice, coach. Keep going. Happy to help. I'm trying to watch for Grav. If you'll notice, I kind of eyeballed her for a bit on defense as she was walking in, but in the panic to get value, I started engaging on point, so I didn't wait to. Yeah, you sort of have to be invisible a little more. There's an art to being invisible on D.Va and sort of letting them be baited into making their plays. And as they get higher level, they're not going to get baited into making their plays, but they just won't be able to get very good value either because they're like, I'm not willing to shoot at anyone but D.Va. I don't want to spend resources until I see D.Va. So it gets a little mind gamey. Ethield out of sight, contributing nothing. I hear you. Did he already answer the first line question? Okay. AA asks Temporal, are you going to make a video of your thoughts on what you think needs to be balanced for the next patch? What needs to be balanced for the next patch? What specifically are you referring here? Like what changes I think should happen? Or are you saying, hey, there's patch notes and what I think they got wrong type thing? What are you asking? Do you want me just to be like, these are the things that should happen in the patch modes? This is the currently overpowered versus underpowered, so we should buff Ash's hit scan fall off range by this much. We should do this to make, like, is that what you're asking or what? Literally impossible for Zen to miss. I suddenly remembered Temporal is a good coach when he is not sleepy. I'm sorry for comparing him to Spilo. I mean, Spilo does good work. Spilo does good work. Okay, let's get back to this. But yes, I am a very good coach.
Initiating match. Ready.
And it's not always a sleepy thing, though sometimes there might be that. Like, there is I'm going to coach in some ways to the level of the student. Like, I'm not pointing out every mistake that Adam makes here, guys. I'm not. I could have been going a lot harder on when to fade from view, when to not do things, etc., when to push in and pincer aggression harder than I did. That's not the relevant skill set for him quite yet, though. I also could have gone much harder on Sheldon's Diva review than I did, and I'm going harder on this one than I did on Sheldon, but Sheldon had different things to work on. The games are different. Val says, for £2, I almost forgot Temporal as Contenders coach. Okay. It's all good, Val. It's all good. That's sort of the follow-up to I suddenly remembered Temporal is good coach when he is not sleepy. All good. We shall continue. But yeah, what I was saying there is coaching has to be in some ways to the level. That's not saying that someone who's higher level can't get any value out of watching a lower review VOD, because different people are making different mistakes, but we're going to work on, in some ways, the lowest hanging fruit, or the things that'll give the biggest upgrade. Either things that like fundamentally need to be worked on for someone before habits set poorly, or things that are the biggest changes to make, or things that are very easy to make for the gains that you'll get. Like, those are the things that we're looking for, and that's why you might see me cover different things or be surprised that I'm not super getting into something, even if you're seeing that mistake for a player. Thankfully, coach is taking it easy on me.
Attackers incoming. Defend objective
I generally don't watch VOD seriously unless they're in my rank or above, unless something really pops out. Maybe Plat reviews, at least for heroes I play. Yeah, no, I get that, Adam. And that's pretty common. A lot of people will go, hey, they're interested, and I advertise that to people who are potentially interested in becoming watchers, that, hey, people tend to be interested when it's their heroes on their rank or above. You can get value out of others, but if you're trying to do the least time investment for the most value of watching, for a lot of people that's going to be true. That sort of their rank or one up tends to be the sweet spot. Which is, again, not saying you can't get value out of watching heroes that you don't play, out of watching different ranks, etc.
Get through this.
You're late to start your micro here.
Get through this.
You can micro immediately, because this is the sort of thing where this 1v1 is hard for you to win, and you are perfectly fine if you micro and he immediately wraiths here, because this is a 1v1 and you'd kind of be quite happy to get his wraith out and then leave. And if we have to think about the value of the two cooldowns, well, absolutely, wraith is the more valuable cooldown. You're getting better support than he is. This hurts. You have boosters. You have boosters, but you're emoting. You lost your mech over emoting. I had to say bye. You had to. This is a little tough. You're playing into Sim Zarya as D.Va. It's not undoable, but it's a little tough. They do, on the other hand, still have that Reaper. You absolutely get plenty of value against Zarya as D.Va, so it's not like undoable by any means. But the prevalence of Sim does sometimes get D.Va players to swap it up, bring in, say, that's why we saw the birth of Ryan Winston in some ways had to do with that. But hey. It's tough to 1v1 the Reaper. Like, you don't need to worry about that too much. You were getting better support than him, so it was fine to take it how you did. You just needed to then boost her out. Okay. Are you going to boost up here and apply some pressure over here? Apply your pressure from here to protect? Like, you being here isn't really helping. Great idea. You tried to boost at the last second to finish him, but you guys are just too overwhelmed.
I'm back in the game.
Get into position.
Take your high ground, take your high ground, take your high ground. Yep. Sure. Swap. Finish him. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Soon as that Wraith is over, yeah, you see he has his ult, you know that. Micro missiles can already be going. Like, you can already be micro missiling this guy. I'm not sure why you're not. It's a Reaper that's in an aggressive position. His Mercy has left him behind, and she'd be kind of foolish to come back in here with him. And he doesn't have Wraith. Like, oh, we micro missile. And your micro missile would just continue while you're DMing him here. No big deal. Leave. Just boost her out. Just boost her out. Boost her out. You totally could have gotten out of that. I'm just not instinctively aware of the, oh, this is an opportunity to eliminate yet. Yep. And you really want to think about that with like, oh, their defensive is gone. Like, oh, they're at half health and their defensive is gone. Or they're at half health and they don't have a defensive. Those sort of things that just cause you to pounce. Yep, you trained them. But as a general rule, defensive is gone, micro missiles are on. Oh, when did my micro missiles turned on? I didn't even notice. And your brain just wants to turn them on after the defensive is gone. As a kind of general thing there.
I require assistance.
Yeah. I hope she's tilted over that. Okay. I tried, okay? I mean, you did end up getting the sim. I don't think that was the plan, but you did end up getting the sim. My accuracy is so bad with micro, so it's kind of hard for me to get, yes, this is my time moments. I hear you.
I'll show them. Shoot you down.
Interesting DM, but you are at 12 HP. Okay. You need to boost him and finish him. Micro, boost, finished. Good. Micro's late, but we got him.
Get into position.
Hi.
Eliminate Sim makes it worth it. Nothing is better. Okay.
I will not be denied.
Objective A captured.
Bunny agrees. Eliminate Sim makes it worth it.
Executing flight maneuver.
micro.
Time to raise my
Unfortunate.
DVA.
Just drop for the mega. Just drop for the mega. Okay. You couldn't fight him. If you were gonna boost, it had to be a boost through him to leave type thing.
So nice how you did that.
I'll add that to my record.
I need healing. Thank you.
I think it was a reset for me. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna be stuck out of mech for a bit here.
Taking the objective. A little help would be appreciated.
You can see the I'm ready to go from shooting the wall and instant boosters after we cap. Yeah.
Suiting up.
So I just want to remind you that as you can see here, the explosion or the impact range is quite minimal. Like, yeah, okay. Did she get a bubble? Because it looked like she might have been in it. Yeah. But he didn't really get value from that bubble, it looks like. Or did he? Oh no, he did. Okay, good. Fine, you got it. Lose 400 health for the chance to remech a limb. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the issue. Like, remech limbs are funny, but they're not actually that powerful, guys. I know, it's blasphemy.
Get through this.
Little surprised we didn't boost out for the mega here. Like, I don't really want to fight them while they have this wall, this wall, this nano, this Valk going. I don't really want to fight this. I would just happily leave for the mega right now.
Bailing out.
Looking on.
Couldn't get him with your second life that time.
Hello there. Hi.
다시 한판 해보자고.
Group up.
This is being AFK! Okay, we're pushing in.
Head me.
You got into a Torb game? Okay. I hear you, Adam. No personal bubble.
Is my will.
Can't DM that. If she grabs you up here, you will happily take it. So, like, I don't need to DM this, because if she grabs, she's just getting you. She's getting you in an awkward spot. Like, sure, you'd try to reactively DM it, but, like, what are we... She's not right-clicking. What are we doing? You can back up, or you can shoot her. DM is not on the menu. Okay. Where's our self-destruct?
Nerf this.
There, okay. Yeah, that was just late. She probably didn't call it. But this is late. Like, this is late as a self-destruct call-out.
Nerf this.
Like, you don't start boostering immediately, you wait a second, then you booster, and you booster for quite a bit before you use the self-destruct feature. So that's like, you're still gonna have to wait 3 seconds, and we've almost invested 2 seconds from when the EMP started before we've even started our 3-second timer on the self-destruct here. For sure. Yep, all good. This is very over. But hey, we got that.
Not one. Need healing.
And now you're gonna feed 550 health of support ults. Good.
Hi.
And she's gonna overheal you. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts.
Injured again.
She spent so much more resource than she needed to there. Clear him. And look for more. Look for more to clear. Look for more to clear. I don't know what you were DMing there. Okay. This helped. Your team's not pushing yet. Your team's not remotely pushing yet. You were super early on this. But even if you had more health, you're super early here.
이건 사기야.
Heroes never die.
Time's running out. Everyone attack. Thank you. Hi.
Okay, fortunately they brute forced it without you, but you did not create some opening for them. They brute forced that without you. Reaper first. Again, a little slow in that DM there. That's going to be a problem. Oh, almost. I believe. There we go.
다시 한판 해보자고.
So the good news is you played a pretty good diva. The bad news is the 2 times that it mattered, you didn't. And, like, that's a little harsh, I know, but, like, we were back here in the defense, you lost your mech, and that was what led to them taking the point. And on this attack, the attack that your team made that had some version of success, a chance of success, you fed right before it happened. So, like, consistency does matter. Sometimes you make 100 mistakes and you still win because they don't get punished, or they get punished but the opponents make more. Sometimes you don't make a ton of mistakes, but the mistakes that you do make get punished. You just got to keep decreasing the mistakes. You've got to keep increasing your punishment of other mistakes. I'm not saying that, like, those were the only 2 mistakes Adam made. They certainly were not. There were more mistakes in here. It's just a shame that the big plays happen sort of after mistakes like that, and that's sometimes how it's going to go. If you timed the ball boot properly, we still win. We'll take it into the next round. Yeah. So we definitely saw this game. I am still going to say really make sure that we finish those boosters on high ground when it makes sense. That was less of a problem on your attack, but it was such a big problem on your defense, or such a noticeable problem on your defense, and it's such an easy change to just be like, oh, when I'm using boosters, I want to finish on high ground, that I'm going to bring that into play there. That is good. I'm also going to get a bit more into... I can't not talk about micro missiles. You're a bit slow on it sometimes. You're not recognizing the opportunities. You're then trying to go use it when the team isn't really... when it's not really useful. You can use micro missiles either in a, hey, I'm going to poke with these if I don't think there's a real go eliminate attempt to be made in the next 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds, or you can use it as part of the poke phase. But you do not get a solo poke phase. Solo poke phase does not exist for you the way it exists for some heroes. There is no pick-off opportunity for you like that. Your pick-off opportunities are more flanker style. So, like, that's not a thing. Get a better handle on how to use this with your team, or both in the poke phase and in the defensive is gone, I'm instantly using this. Like, the Zarya's bubble is gone and she's 3/4 health, I'm instantly using this and diving her because I want to eliminate her before she gets to get higher energy, or I want to put immense amounts of pressure on her social grab so that I can eat it type thing. Like those are things that we want to do. We want to be faster on our micro missile use. Oh, we have a super chat coming in from Adam. Super chat for $10 coming in from Adam saying, "Thank you, Temporal. This is why I play support. I have minimal game sense and awareness, so I just hide away from fights and press left click. Please go on with your advice." I shall. Thank you, Adam Nicholas, for the $10 super chat there. So again, we were talking about your finisher boosters on high ground. We were talking about your micro missiles and how you want to take these opportunities faster when defensive cooldowns aren't in play. You want to go boom faster when people are lower on health. Still, there can be mistakes like this of, nope, that wasn't actually an opportunity, but in general, this is here to be had. And we want to understand, well, micro missiles is fine in the poke phase. We are using it when we don't expect to have a good opening to actually go finish someone off. So maybe while the enemies are still grouped, for example. What am I trying to say? And when we don't expect that, we'll be able to dive someone, etc. But we're not going out and doing it by ourselves. And then the third thing is going to be initiation timing. And this does tie a little bit to sort of this of, wait, it doesn't make sense to start this fight when your team isn't relevant. It doesn't make sense to poke at these guys when your team isn't relevant. It doesn't make sense to go in here before your team is ready. Like, there is something to be said for, okay, what does it do? Like, yes, going back here and peeling, when you're dealing with your supports, initiation timing isn't really helpful. But when you're trying to enable your other tank, when you're trying to go in, when you're trying to put pressure on them, when you open and close your angle, when you can peek stuff, when you can micro missile, when you can't, when it makes sense to try to boop opponents in, that's going to be an initiation timing. And that's going to require you to track where your team is more than you are. When you're a support, you just get to stand behind your team and be like, yep, I can see what's going on. When you're playing Ana, when you're playing BAP, whatever, Zen, you can just see most of what's going on. When you're Diva, when you're tank in general, you have to have that same sense. You have to have that same sense of tracking your allies, even more than a Reinhardt in some way. A Reinhardt has to be aware of where his allies are right when he pushes, but then he's kind of like, I forgot about them, doesn't matter, whatever. I'm exaggerating, obviously. But a Diva has to be ready both on the initial push to understand where people are, and then she has to be able to make the decision, do I need to support the front line with the push, or do I need to go peel like a counter dive that is happening here? Do I need to go in and finish someone off, or do I need to go and hold the line and DM for my Widow who's picking off shots here? So we're going to need more of a sense of when the team is ready to fight, how the team is ready to fight. And the easiest way to get that initiation, the first level of that for a tank player, is going to be before I actually go in, before I transition from space that my team controls to neutral space, or to space that the opponents control. Let me do a quick counting heads of how many people are alive and where are they. And you sort of want to do that automatically every time before you upgrade your danger level, before you transition from space that you control to space that is either neutral or space that the opponents potentially control there. And it's too dangerous. Let me back off and wait for my team. Okay, we're good. I can sort of enforce not letting them in here, whatever. Those are the three things I'm going to want to give you. We're not yet ready to get into how you hide, how you shadow yourself, how you really get into making Zarya, Mei, Reaper everyone's life miserable like that, with them just not being able to deal with you yet, but that's fine. So that's what I'm going to give you. Again, those micro missiles, both ways we talked about the micro missiles, the poke and the finish offs being faster when defensives are gone, the boosters taking you over to the high ground where you can do more work with them, and the engagement timing. If you or anyone else have questions, you can throw them up in chat now. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that helps out quite a bit, and I really do appreciate that. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below. See what rates look like, see what sort of promos, events we have coming up, things like that. Like when we do internal scrims, if you want to be here for those can be fun, all sorts of good stuff. Okay. Val says, I don't normally watch other people's review twice, but this one had good info. It did. Some of that good info was the answer to your 4 questions, Val. They were good questions. Against their comp on attack, what would have been a better swap? Against their comp on attack, what would have been a better swap? Well, I'd have just said play main tank into them. Like, the reality of the thing is you chose to go, hey, we're playing into... Let's go when they were actually on their real comp. So you mean when you were on attack, so this second round here, and they had this composition here, and you're asking what would have been better to play into this? Well, The problem is we really do like having a diva when they have a Reaper. We don't mind diva when they have Zarya, but yeah, there's some beam shenanigans, some beam problems to be had here. Diva's almost never a bad pick. Diva's probably a better pick than Roadhog, so you could just justify it. Nope, I'm gonna stay on Diva. I probably wouldn't recommend it. I'd probably just play main tank in this situation. And if I was trying to play main tank in this situation, well, what is this comp going to struggle with? Range. This comp is going to struggle with range. This comp is not going to like it if you play Orisa. Like, oh, they have a Reaper, no range. They have a Zarya, limited range. They have a Sim, sure, but other than teleport shenanigans, sure, she has right clicks, but like she's much more scary at close range. Sigma's got good range power, don't get me wrong, but I'd probably look at this and go, wait, let's make this an Orisa. Then we've got combo power with our Hog. We have another poke hero, so this is a poke hero, a poke hero, a poke hero, and a poke hero versus their brawl hero, brawl hero, brawl hero. Hey, I kind of like this. I kind of like this. And they're not really, because this is Plat, they're not really going to stop us from setting up here with our Orisa. And then they just have to like fully retreat back to here. And you've kind of done 2/3 of winning the point just by getting up here with your strong poke composition, etc. You see how that works? Okay. Against their comp on attack, what would have been a better swap? Do you mean when you were actually attacking? Because you would say I would think Roadhog, but you already had a Roadhog. So do you mean when they were on attack, what should you have defended with? I could answer that. Great advice. Sneaky Diva ruins enemy flanker's day. She can. I'm just a highly aggressive player and very experienced in terms of when I can and can't push. It's a game sense thing. You start doing a better job. As when you're playing support, you're probably having to do less in terms of tracking the opponent's cooldowns. You might be tracking flankers' cooldowns because they come after you, but you're probably not tracking the opponent's cooldowns because it just doesn't matter to you that much whether it matters to you a little if the enemy diva has DM. It matters to you a little if the enemy Zarya has bubbles. Yes, it matters if there's a hog hook cooldown, but you're probably not tracking some of their cooldowns as closely in general because you're sort of in a, well, I just have to heal through it. Well, I just have to sort of do damage through it. Like, it doesn't really, you haven't had to pick whether to push in before since you play support more than some of the other roles here. And yeah, that's going to mean you have to track the opponent's general health status. That means how much health they have. That means how much barrier is in play. That means what cooldowns they have left, defensive and offensive. It's a skill that you'll build. You just touched on it before, but does Peel take priority over holding the front line? I kind of got lost on that there. It's not that simple, Sonic the Otter. You're the flex. So, like, let's pretend that you were running a composition of Winston, Diva, Anna, Brig, Tracer, and Echo. The Winston is going to go in. The Echo is going to go in. The Tracer is going to go in. And let's pretend the opponents are running the same mirror comp back at you. Their 3 are going to go in. The Brig is almost certainly not going to go in. In some situations she will, but it's rare. The Anna's probably not going to go in most situations as well. Some of this gets comp dependent. We're not talking double bubble here. We are talking a Winston Diva comp. So if these guys don't go in, and these 3 do go in, what does Diva do? And it depends. That's a formation change that happens. Is this going to be a 3-person dive? Is this going to be a 4-person dive? Did they dive with 4 people? Do you want to delay their success of diving with 4 people by having Diva peel? Do you want to have Diva make your dive stronger? This is a tough question, and it's sort of like she's sort of the chess piece that you move back and forth to change what the play looks like. Is sort of the answer to that. I'm not going to be able to give you a 100% of the time. It's more important that Diva peels than goes in because sometimes it absolutely makes sense for Diva to go in. Sometimes it absolutely makes sense for Diva to peel. I would say it's easy to overvalue this when you're playing Diva and get too focused on this and never protect your Winston, never protect your Paul, never protect your Reinhardt. Like, it's easy to do that, but it's not correct. That said, sometimes you are going to be correct protecting these people. It really depends on how the meta has evolved, what comps are getting played, and what your playbook is. What was the timing of the push? Did they get a good start to their engage on you? Did you get a good start to your engage on them? It's not a one note answer there. Sorry. I love the advice of the head check before aggressing. Yep. That's a fantastic tip. Beam shenanigans. Okay. Although I don't know if Orisa is valuable in the limited sightlines of that choke, especially with the only person who could contest high ground when we left spawn was me on Diva. Do you mean when you're on offense? Like, when you're on offense, if it's when you're on offense, like, you can threaten high ground enough on Orisa. Like, this isn't the best choke for you on Orisa, though you could do it. But second point is fine for you on Orisa. Contest high ground, I mean, you're going to contest high ground by going up there yourself. You're going to contest high ground by shooting them from here to make them leave or make them cower and then advance. And then if they come back open because they have health again, you fortify to finish your rotation type thing. Yes, offense, my first push. Yeah, okay. Oh, offense, your first push? Sure, let's go back to this. Assuming I can get my mouse. Still not there yet. We need it before that's happened.
I will not be denied.
Surrender.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. In terms of when you walk out here, they don't have anyone that can contest. You don't have anyone that can contest high ground. No, that's not true. You have an echo.
The power of destruction.
Ready for battle. 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
I mean, you have a Sombra that throws a translocator up there literally to start the match. Bap can hop up there if she wants. Orisa can throw Holtz depending on where they are to mess with them. She can definitely shoot up there. She doesn't have good high ground pressure as Diva does, obviously, but her high ground pressure is better than Reinhardt's, for example. So, like, I don't think it would have been the end of the world, but I see what you're saying. Is the general rule that Diva should go where more resources are being invested from the enemy team? Yes, that's a general rule, Nardstorm, but it's a very loose rule of thumb. There are times where you will choose to absolutely overpower them quickly rather than, like, let's say you chose to go with a 4-2 dive, a 4 in, including your Diva, 2 back, both of your supports, or maybe one of your supports and a McCree or whatever, a 4 in, 2 out dive, and you chose to overwhelm their 2 in their 4-2 setup, and you're choosing to do it, and you're choosing to pull the trigger and wipe them out quickly, they're going to go this way because you staged better than them. You won the staging battles and you just want to go wipe them out immediately because therefore are going to be late because you won the staging battles in getting on your 2. You see what I'm saying? And you might say, okay, well, if the 4-2 lost the staging battles, they're probably going to be peeled back, and this might not be a 2, this might actually be a 6. And so, like, okay, well, you are going where more of them are, and that's an okay way to think about it, sure. You'd probably do this even if they peeled off away from their team and it was like a 2 back, but it's then like 3 over here and 1 over here too. Second point is okay, but on first point, Orisa into Sims Zarya Reaper, it's tough, I'm not going to lie. Seems kind of bad. So Sims Zarya Reaper, first point. It's tough, but it's not as tough as you think, because what you're going to do is you're going to come through here, and you're going to shoot at them, and you're going to put pressure on them. This Sigma cannot answer your pressure, so he's going to get pushed back. He's going to have to go to cover. They're going to have these turrets here, which are going to be super annoying, don't get me wrong, but your Sombra is going to get behind them. you do have your own off-angling Sigma. Like, wait, the double shield is considered a powerful comp for a reason. Like, you're going to put pressure here, and it is going to be hard for them to maintain this. Like, there will be these turrets, they'll be annoying, but you will cause these people to lose resources, to lose health, to lose barrier, to go behind cover, to go behind cover, to go behind cover, to be like, oh, I see so-and-so trying to heal from back there, let me put some pressure on them, they leave, and then you push through with your fortify, and the turrets don't really bother you. Your team will get mad and be like, Orisa, why didn't you clear the turrets for us? We're so upset. But, forget them. You don't care. Not as bad as you think. You just spend a little longer softening them up because remember, the Sim and the Reaper don't want to run out here to go fight you. Like, they don't want to break their own choke to go fight you. They'll do it after they've already gotten eliminations, but they don't regularly want to be like, let's run over and try to run over this team. Good luck. Like, if you're going to push into us, we're going to halt you back. We're still going to have Fortify. You're going to be pushing into the Orisa over there while the Sigma's over here or vice versa and get shot in the back. Like, it's not amazing for them. It's not fantastic, but if you really don't like that, I mean, your other option would be, okay, you come out on Hammond. Even with the sim turrets, you just burst your way through. You cause that choke to break because they're going to send people back here to deal with you. None of them are fantastic at dealing with you. And then you go away. And then you go back. And it keeps re-weakening this thing, etc., because they're so heavily invested in this chokehold with their sim turrets, their double close range DPS, etc. Okay. Uh, because it'll naturally play into their strengths, people usually play close on the choke. Maybe I was zoned into my gameplay and only noticed on high ground, so I assumed I was diving alone, contesting. True, good point to rotate choke towards the long sight line to clear. Again, I conceptually see the game from a Ryan Zarya push. Yeah, and that's okay, but you've got to evolve past that to see other things. Don't think of off-angling on tanks. And then you go away. I love the way you said that. So simple, so easy. Pretty much. Okay, if there's any final questions, you guys can go ahead and throw them up there. If you are enjoying the content, please do drop a like. If you're not already subscribed, feel free to do so, though most of you do a pretty good job of subscribing, and I really do appreciate that. But I think we're going to go ahead and call it here, and I think we're probably done for the night, maybe for real this time. I will see you guys in the next one.